Hi all, we've been sent the new Liber Imperium book to review, and we're going to have a little look at the various factions there within, and we're going to be starting off with the Legio Custodes. You might have seen that we've already got a battle report up, so I'd honestly recommend watching that because it was a pretty good battle, lots and lots of foot troops. It was a really impressive game actually, so yeah, I'd suggest going to watch that if you haven't already, and you'll also see some other parts with the Assassins and also Solar Auxilia and Sisters of Silence in another video shortly, or other videos shortly. So yeah, let's start. Alright, so let's get straight into it. Let's start with the Warlords and the HQs. So, the Warlord traits of the Legio Custodes, they've got the Golden Exemplar rule. Any combat with at least one friendly model within 12 inches of a Warlord with this trait, or a combat which includes a Warlord with this trait, gains a bonus of +1 to the number of wounds caused for the purpose of deciding which side has won a combat during the assault phase. In addition, while engaged in a challenge, a Warlord with this trait adds a bonus of +1 to their attacks and initiative characteristics. Yeah, so I think that's a really good role for them to have actually as a Warlord trait, because it really gets you to use the shield captains and the tribunes to be, you know, these people who lead by example and get right in there and challenge and get their hands dirty by killing the most brutal of HQ characters on the other side. So I think that's a nice role, and I think it works quite well. So then let's get straight into the Nemesis units rule. So a Nemesis unit, according to the Legio Custodes, is defined as an enemy unit that fulfills at least one of the following conditions. The unit includes one or more models with at least one of the following unit types or unit subtypes: Primarch, Dreadnought, Monstrous, Reinforce, Bombard, Demon, Corrupted, Super Heavy, Unique, or Knight. The majority of models in the unit have a value of 5 or more if in any one of the following characteristics: weapon skill, ballistic skill, wounds, and initiative, or initiative. And also, it's a Nemesis unit if the unit includes an enemy Warlord. So the Legio Custodes were made to take on these Nemesis units. And they actually seem to be tougher when they actually have a good old fight to get involved in. So their Legio Custodes special rules are basically aimed towards this Nemesis type of rule. So here we go. All models with this special rule gain +1 attacks when locked in combat with a Nemesis unit. Well, that's pretty good. So if they're taking on a Dreadnought, a monstrous creature, a Primarch, Demon, etc., they get +1 attacks when locked in combat. After that, a unit composed entirely of models with a special rule gains an additional +1 to all charge rolls made when all targets of the charge are Nemesis units. So all targets of the charge are Nemesis units. Yeah, so they're trying their best to get in there because they know they need to get in there and take down these really difficult to destroy enemies. And finally, when rolling to hit while engaged with a Nemesis unit, a model with this special rule will never need to roll better than 4+ to score a hit, unless the Nemesis unit is composed entirely of models with a Primarch unit type, or the attacking model is in a challenge with a model that has the Primarch unit type. So whenever against a unit of the Nemesis type, which isn't a Primarch, these guys, the whole Legio Custodes force, will always hit on a 4+ in hand-to-hand combat, regardless of the enemy's weapon skill. So they're going to be taking on Commander, hitting on 4+, which is nothing to sniff at really. Okay, so then let's start looking at units. So let's start with Constantine Valdor. He's been given the Primarch rule, something which I'm very happy about. I don't know if many of you, well, most of you hopefully read all the Black Library novels and the like, so hopefully 119 means something to you. That does to me. So it makes me quite happy that he's been given this. So let's have a look at the blurb on the left hand side. It says Primarch. Constantine Valdor sits at the right hand of the Emperor as perhaps his most trusted companion and guardian, a watchman of inviolable purpose and all but unmatched fighting skill. Such in fact is Valdor's martial power and the superhuman physical and mental abilities that there are those even within the Imperial Court who have in whispers called him Primarch in all but name. This is no doubt a disingenuous claim, for as for all his power, Valdor was made and trained to serve a different and far more focused purpose than that of Lord Commander of the Custodian Guard, and to Valdor These petty concerns of conquest and glory, dominion and victory are as nothing when compared to his own sworn duty. Now to me, Constantine Valdor is basically the Emperor's best work without asking Dark Gods for help. So to me, he's a Primarch in all but name, and pretty much a demi-Primarch, or a proto-Primarch, you might say. So obviously it comes with all the standard Primarch special rules. Stat line, move 8 inches, weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 5, initiative 6, attack dice 5, leadership 10, and save 2+. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. So he's going to be pretty good against most Primarchs out there. Yeah, I don't think he's going to beat them, and especially his point limit is about 350 points, but he is definitely something to be scared of when he comes at you. And obviously if you then take into account the Golden Exemplar rule, his initiative 7 and an attack dice 6 in the challenge. Also, if he's fighting anything which is a Nemesis unit as well, he gets an extra attack dice as well. So he's up to initiative 7 and an attack dice 7, which is really nice. And you'll always be hitting on a 4+ unless against a Primarch. He's also got the Lightning Blows 6+ special rule. So he gets an additional hit when he rolls a 6+ to hit in hand-to-hand combat, which is great. So more attack dice. And his armor's not just for looks, it's pretty damn good. So he's got the same save as basically Perturaba and Vulcan, which is great. And as before, his spear is pretty damn good. So the Apollonian spear is +2 strength, AP2, and has the Murderous Strike 4+ special rule. So he's going to be getting some serious kills when it comes to Praetors and the like on the Space Marine front. So watch out for Constantine Valdor. Unit 2, the Tribune. So you won't be fielding this guy that much, apparently. So a model with this special rule may only be included in a primary detachment of an army with a total value of at least 3,000 points. So, wow. This means it's actually easier to field Constantine Valdor. So when you compare him to Constantine Valdor as well, he's got 1 less wound and 1 less initiative, but he's still really, really good. Still really good. You're kind of spoilt with Valdor though, I think. And the other good thing is he actually has the Eternal Warrior special rule, which is something which the Shield Captain doesn't have. He comes with the Guardian Spear as standard and Misery Cord, which is also standard as per the entire army now, I think. He's got Auric Battle Plate and Melter Bombs and an Array Shrike. So if you don't like Guardian Spear, well, I don't know why you wouldn't, they're brilliant. You can give him the Pryth Spear, Adrosite Spear, Sentinel Warblade, Guardian Axe, Meridian Sword, Solarite Power Gauntlet, and Solarite Power Talon, or 2 Solarite Power Talons. Paragon Blade and Paragon Glaive even. At this point I think it's quite a good idea to go off on a little tangent and look at the Guardian weapons. So the Guardian Spear, standard that every Custodes have, unless they've got something a bit better, is range 18 inch, strength 4, AP 4, assault 2 and shred. And in melee it's strength +1, AP 2, melee 2-handed and reaping blow 1. Then after that you've got the Sentinel Warblade, 18 inch, strength 4, AP 4, assault 2, shred again. And in melee it's user, AP 2 and melee. I won't be reading them all out because it's not really right. But we'll go to the Adrosite Spear. This is one of my favourite ones. So strength is 5, AP 3, assault 1, instant death, armor bane, ranged, and it gets hot. Whee, that's cool. Do like a good Adrosite weapon. The Paragon Glaive has Murderous Strike 5+, and the Purthyth Spear, strength 8, AP 1, armor bane, melter, really good. And the cool thing about these are you can mix them up into your squads. It's something I've never thought about doing up to this point, but it's something I'm definitely going to consider going forward. So I'm going to get some of those little blister packs of those other spears and just chop them into the squads. Having, you know, the ability for somebody to pretty much destroy a tank next to you just in case is brilliant. And also it gives you, unless the enemy has obviously got the sniper special rule, gives you the ability to get some of these really dangerous weapons in nice and close and quick. The other thing to sort of look at is the Misery Cord, which is strength 4, but it gives the instant death special rule. So when you don't want to use the spear or Solarite power gauntlets, etc., just get that little dagger out and instant death something. But if you want to field somebody like Ixion Hale, then obviously you're going to need the Guardian Axe. And he does look great with that Guardian Axe. But I'm looking forward to hopefully another model, well, a Tribune model, which gives you a few options to, take to war. So I'd like to see a Tribune with 2 Solarite power talons, because that would look amazing. But also a Tribune with the Meridian swords, because they are cool. Then let's look at the Shield Captain. So he's still cheaper than the Tribune, as would be expected. He's not as good. Weapon skill is one less, but obviously he's still a very deadly guy. And also he's got 1 less wound, and he doesn't have the Eternal Warrior special rule. But yeah, sometimes you don't need to spend an extra 100 points to bring a Tribune to the game. He does have the same weapon options as the Tribune, as well as, I think the only thing he doesn't have the option of actually taking is the Teleporter Transponder Array. Alright, so let's get to the elites. So let's start off the Hetaeron Guard Squad. I can imagine this coming out as an actual kit soon, because it's got too many options in here which aren't technically available at the moment. So I would really like to see this come out sooner rather than later. So each one of them comes with Meridian swords as standard, and that just makes them really, really, really tough. So these are quite similar to the plastic one that released the Champion, the Custodes Champion in the 40k range, and I really like him as a model. In fact, he's one of my favourite Custodes. But these ones are actually fully equipped with their full armoured plate, so the full Auric war plate. It's just like a Custodes Guard. And I think you've seen the Hetaeron in the artwork already anyway, from, I think it's the Horus Heresy card game series from decades ago. But the Meridian swords are just really, really good weapons. So you can field them in one of 3 ways, and one of which is Grasp the Rainbow Serpent, which sounds very colourful. Strength goes up to 10, AP 1, melee 2-handed, measured strike and instant death. So yeah, that's just cool. But there's 2 other options, one of which is obviously running in and getting as many hits in as possible, and the other one is he wants to end some praetors. But these Hetaeron have a slightly better leadership than the standard Custodian Guard Squad, and just 1 better on the wounds as well. So I think for the options of the weapons themselves, they are very, 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 very good choice. Then we get straight on to the Aquilon Terminator Squad. So these guys obviously have the Aquilon pattern Terminator armor, which gives them 2+, 4++. They come with the Lastrum Stormbolter standard with a Solarite power gauntlet. Now, I was really keen on Adrasite weapons. Adrathic, that's the one, Adrasite. So I chose to equip them all with the Adrathic Destructors, or twin-linked Adrathic Destructors. Now, we played a game with them the other day, and they really lack range. And I've had these guys like walking across the battlefield, and obviously they can't run either. And it was just a massive slog. Only I think in the last turn, I think it was turn 4 or turn 5, did they actually start causing some damage. But if you get these guys close, they're Dreadnought killers. And yeah, I think that's how I'll be fielding them in the future, is just lining them up with a Dreadnought on the other side of the battlefield and just walking them towards them. The good thing is they've got the that special rule, was it the skirmish? Yeah, skirmish special rule, so they can be spaced out quite nicely as well. But if Adrathic weapons aren't for you, then yeah, the Infernus Firepike's pretty good. Template, strength 6, AP 6, heavy one, Torrent 9-inch. I have 3 of them upstairs, which I haven't painted yet because I want to get to some vehicles, because I've got lots and lots of unpainted Custodes vehicles at this point, and 3 unpainted Dreadnoughts. So yeah, as most people out there, I'm a hobby butterfly, and I've just decided I want to get back to these guys soon. So those of you keen of eye will realise that this is the Contemptor Caladius Dreadnought. The shield's off of screen. But let's talk about the Contemptor Aquilon Dreadnought first. He has a better weapon skill, strength, attack dice and leadership compared to a standard Space Marine Contemptor. His Dread Spear comes with a Corvée Las Pulsar as standard. Strength 9, AP 3, heavy 3 means he's a really good Space Marine killer, but probably just the chaffy ones, nothing in artificial armour. Points wise, he's pretty good in comparison to a standard Contemptor, but you can tell you're paying more to get a better Contemptor. But Gravis Power Fist has the same stats as the Space Marine one. And the Aquilon Dread Spear is Strength 12, AP2, Exo Shock 2-handed. So yeah, he's completely a vehicle destructor. And weapon option wise for the spear, I would push and go for the twin linked Drathic Destructor, because wow, he would basically just wreck vehicles all day long. Okay, so let's have a look at the Custodian Guard Squad. So that's the guys with the Guardian Spears, not the guys with the swords. So they're 2 wounds and initiative 5, leadership 9. Always good to have a troop choice with a high leadership like that. They all come with frag grenades, melter bombs and misery cord as standard. And as mentioned earlier, you can actually swap out what it says here: any model in the unit may exchange its Guardian Spear with one of the following options: a Pyrrhithite Spear, an Adrosite Spear or a Guardian Axe. Now to me this is a really good idea actually. I'm going to start adding 1 or 2 of the Adrosites or Pyrrhithites inside the actual unit, so it gives them a bit of cover as they go across the battlefield, and also makes them really durable against Dreadnoughts and other vehicles, so they can tackle almost anything. And obviously they've got the skirmish and line special rule too. So they're all equipped with Auric Warplate, which is 2+, 6++. It's a unit of 3, which is 150 points, and they're actually cheaper the more you buy, or more you add to your list. So then we get to the Sentinel Guard Squad. So these are 150 points for 3, and as with the previous unit, the points are cheaper the more you add into it. The chap in the centre is not equipped legally, unfortunately, still. So 1 Sentinel in that unit may exchange his Presidium and Shield for a Magisterium Vixilla. So yeah, I need to sort that guy out. But you can actually exchange the Sentinel Warblades with one of the following options: Solarite Power Talons or Power Gauntlets. Now I can understand the Power Gauntlet, I think that would look really cool, but I think Lightning Claws, Power Talons always to me just seem like one of these great paired weapons, and I think Shield would just slow them down a bit. Even though the stats on them are really good, I think I'd prefer to field them 2-handed. And here we are to the first of my unpainted vehicles, the Cronus Grav Carrier. So he can carry 6 standard Custodians. His armour is 13, 12 and 10. And he can move a good old 16 inches. So that means obviously he can move 8 inches, and then obviously everyone can disembark and go about their business. But it is not an assault vehicle. It does have a flare shield to give a bit of a boon to the front armour, which is nice because it means you have to face the enemy, and I really like that. But you're a bit more vulnerable on the rear. He is cheaper than a Sagittarian if you equip the Sagittarian with las cannons. And its twin-linked Arachnus Blaze Cannons have Lance, AP1, Strength 8, Heavy 2, Exo Shock 6+. Boom. This thing is going to kill some Land Raiders. I'm going to paint this guy up soon and try to put some nice marbled red on the nacelles. I think I've seen them so many times on the internet, and I just keep looking at them and thinking how amazing they look. So hopefully you'll see more of that on this soon, after I trial it out on a few other tanks and stuff. Woohoo! Another unpainted model. So I have 3 of these chaps upstairs, the Agamatus jetbike squadron. I prefer this one to the actual Games Workshop one as well, because I think they just look a bit cooler. They are 265 points for a squadron of 3. Now to me it is quite expensive, but they are really an Alpha Strike unit, and I think they get their value for the fact that they can really take down some big old creatures or vehicles on the other side of the battlefield with pretty much no effort at all. So each model is equipped with a Misery Core, Melter Bombs and Auric Demi Plate, so they've got a 3+ save. They've obviously got a Gear Falcon jetbike, and obviously when my Gear Falcon jetbike's finished, I'll have a little rider on top who is currently missing. But if he was there, then obviously you'd see his lovely Solarite Power Lance. Now that weapon is a beast. The really cool thing about it is the Sudden Strike 3 special rule. So they get +3 initiative on the turn it charges, which is excellent. So the spear itself is Strength 10 AP1 Armor Bane, and it's two-handed. So if you choose to run the jetbike across the board, it gets the Shrouded special rule, and also it gets a Hammer of Wrath attack as well, 1. And why not? You can deep strike it, yay! So to me it is a really good Alpha Strike unit. So what you can do with it is, on the first turn you can move 16 inches, and hopefully, if you're lucky, be within charge range. Now obviously at standard you're about 24 inches apart from the enemy. Now if you take an average charge roll of 7 inches and add its bonus to it, which is +3 due to its 16-inch speed, it can pretty much move 26 inches on turn 1 and get into something really nasty. So ideally you would actually have the initiative on turn 1, and there'll be some tanks right on the borderline, or maybe even a scary Dreadnought or Leviathan on the other side, and just get in there nice and quick. But if by chance that you don't actually have the initiative, then hopefully you've deployed yourself completely behind cover, 3 inches apart at least from each other because of the skirmish special rule, and are braced to literally race across the battlefield and get in there. And it's also worth mentioning, if you give them the Adratic Destructors, which are obviously 12-inch range anyway, if you move 16 inches, you're within Adratic Destructor range on turn 1, which is cool. Yeah, and if an Adratic Destructor is not your thing, then Twin Link Corvée Lust Pulse is pretty good, as we've discussed earlier. So here's another one of my unpainted models, Pallas Attack Speeder. So you can get these in squadrons of 1 to 3. Points wise, they're pretty cheap, 60 points. Yeah. So nice little flare shield on the front, skimmer, fast, deep strike, outflank. Yeah, they're good. Stick a nice little Twin Linked Adratic Destructor on it, and this thing could sort of quite quickly zip across the board and cause some damage to Dreadnoughts and the like, and yeah, hopefully live to tell the tale after it. But for 60 points, they're not really going to be missed if they do disappear or get shot out of the sky. And then next we have a Custodian Venatari squad. So that one there is perched rather precariously, and obviously I haven't painted him yet, but they're a pretty cool unit as well. Got 6 of these myself now, and you can obviously field them in 2 different options, pretty much like before. The Kinetic Destroyer and Tarsus Buckler, and you can decide to swap them out for the Venatari Lance. So you can mix and match the models in the unit, which is great, and 230 points as base is pretty good. Other than that, Melter Bombs, Auric Demi Plate, and Misery Cords. The Tarsus Buckler makes them very durable against weapons with the Volkite, Adratic, Las Plasma or Melter special rules, and that reduces their strength enough to make them survive, hopefully. The Venatari Lances themselves are quite like a bit of a light version of the Guardian Spear, but they do have a Rending 6+ special rule in their shooting attack, so hopefully they might actually be a bit better at killing Space Marines than the standard Guardian Spear if you're lucky. Yeah, the Lance itself pretty much has the same stat line as the Kinetic Destroyers. The old Architect pistols, which obviously you can see my guy there is equipped with. So, not sure exactly which one I'd choose over the other actually in this case. Obviously the buckler gives you a bit more sustainability. Next we have the Sagittarian Guard Squad. They're the same stat line as the standard Custodian Guard Squad. Melter Bombs, Auric Warplate, Misery Cord. You can take up to 7 additional ones. The base is 175 points. They are cheaper after the first 3 as well, which is good. One model in the unit may exchange its Adrastus Bolt Caliber for one of the following options: Magisterium Vexilla and Adrathic Destructor. I've not seen a standard Adrathic Destructor yet. I don't think. There's not. I know I've always seen the twin-linked ones. I haven't seen like the small single-barreled version. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if we're going to see that at some point soon. The Adrastus Bolt Caliber is a pretty good weapon though. So you can fire in 2 ways. One way has just 1 bullet, so it's like a one-shot gets hot weapon, but it is instant death. So strength 5 AP2, that's pretty good. The standard way you can fire is 4 shots, get a good strength 5. So they might take down a Space Marine or 2 in a turn, but the AP is still not good enough to get through power armor. There's not really much else to say about these guys, but they are a heavy support choice. They do look damn good. They are some of my favourite models in the Custodes range. Another unpainted model, the Caladius grav-tank. I've got 3 of these now, which is brilliant. I haven't got any of them painted because apparently one's not enough. So yeah, it's equipped with a turret-mounted Agamatus accelerator cannon, which is strength 8, AP 3, heavy 3, rending 6+, brutal 2, twin-linked. Now, I can't really see what I'd actually use that for. It's probably only good at killing predators and things like that, because if you shoot at a Contemptor Dreadnought, that Dreadnought's getting a save. You shoot it at a Space Marine, it's going to go straight through him, but generally most Space Marines don't have 2 wounds, so it's a bit overkill for them as well. So you can try to use it against a character model, but chances are they're going to save it because of the armor value, the armor penetration value. So I'm not sure what I'd use it for, apart from just killing medium to light tanks. The twin Lastrum bolt cannon though is pretty good. So that's got 8 shots and shred, strength 6 AP4. So that's pretty meaty. That's going to cause some damage to a few things, but hopefully it'll kill a good at least 3 Space Marines from that. But still, AP4, it's not great. Yeah, you can exchange the turret-mounted Agamatus accelerator cannon for the Arachnus Blaze cannon. Now that's a good weapon. Strength 8, AP1, heavy 2, lance, and got the Exo Shock rule as well. So yeah, that will take down a few of the bigger tanks like the Land Raider and the like. So, or cause some damage to them at least. So yeah, I think between the 2 variations on the turrets, you've got some pretty good tanks there. Yeah, points wise, it's worth it. I think it's at a good price. It's definitely worth investing in them. Back to another unpainted model. Yeah, the Contemptor Galatas Dreadnought. So this one's got the Gravis Presidium shield and an Atomantic deflector. So as before, pretty good points wise against the standard Contemptor from the Space Marine range. So let's have a look at this Presidium shield. Yeah, the Gravis Presidium shield gives a good 4+ invulnerable save. So if you pair that with the Atomantic deflector as well, it means they're quite durable. That's great. And then you've got the Galatas Warblade with inbuilt twin-linked Infernus Incinerator, which is a strength 6 template weapon, which is pretty good. You haven't got any other options with this though. There's no like upgrades, and I don't think there's any other options inside the kit either. But yeah, it's a lovely model as well. Then you have this beast for 365 points. Telemon Heavy Dreadnought. I think out of all the Dreadnoughts in the range, across all of Warhammer 40,000 and even the 30k game system, this is the Dreadnought I like the most. If I could be in one for all eternity, yeah, this is the one I'd want to be in. It just looks epic. Yeah, so this guy is rocking out a toughness 8 and 8 wounds as well. 2+ save, and he's got the automatic deflector as well. Yeah, he's a pretty cool model. He only moves 6 inches though, so it's one of the slowest of the Dreadnoughts. But if you look this cool, you don't need to move fast. So here's the Hammer of Wrath 3 special rule, and after he hits you with his charge, he's got the Telemon Cestus with inbuilt Proteus plasma projectors, and you can have 2 of them, or keep the model as just a big old hand-to-hand combat wrecking machine, or you can swap one of them out, or both of them out, for ranged weapons like the Arachnus Storm Cannon and the Iliastus Accelerator Culverin as well. So the Iliastus Accelerator Culverin, pretty much the same as the Accelerator Cannon, but obviously not twin linked. So it's a good weapon for killing Space Marines. Yeah, you might do well against other medium tanks and stuff again. But I think the one I'd go for is the Arachnus Storm Cannon. Strength 8 AP1 is pretty damn good against most things. So yeah, he's gonna cause some damage with that, especially with 3 shots. So yeah, that's how I'd equip him. Yeah, then after that you get to the Orion Assault Dropship. Now, as I don't have an Orion Assault Dropship, or even sadly the Ares Gunship, I think I'll just show Valdor again. There he is. So yeah, 2 centerline mounted Arachnus heavy blaze cannons, 2 front mounted twin Lastrum bolt cannons, 2 hull front mounted spiculous heavy bolt launchers, and an Eclipse shield. Now, these are very similar in price on Forge World. I don't know which one I'd go for, because I want to have one of these eventually, but I don't know which. One's really good at just basically getting out there and fighting, and the other one's obviously a great transporter, but I don't know if it's worth taking the transporter option compared to the gunship version. Gunship version's more points, obviously, and it's a Lord of War. Oh, they're both Lord of War. But yeah, I've got to really decide which one I'm going to be purchasing in the future out of them 2. So let's have a look at this Orion Assault Dropship first though. So it's got a transport capacity of 24, so it can carry 8 Custodes. Obviously it's got the transport bay special rule as well, which means it can carry a Dreadnought around for 10 spaces, I believe. And then it's got an assault vehicle as well, which means you can get your Custodes out, charge, get into hand-to-hand combat nice and easy. Rear armor's only 11 on it, which isn't great, but yeah, the rest of it is pretty sustainable. It's got a 19-inch move. The Eclipse shield reduces the strength of shooting attacks against its front arm by 1, and -2 if it has the blast special rule or templates. It's got some other bits and pieces there, but yeah, that's quite similar to before. Then yeah, so the weapons themselves though, that's where it gets pretty interesting. With the Arachnus heavy blaze cannon, strength 9, AP1, heavy 2 and lance. That's pretty cool. Then yeah, the hull mounted twin Lastrum bolt cannons, yeah, and the 2 hull front mounted spiculous heavy bolt launchers. Strength 6, AP4, heavy 12 and pinning. Whew. That's a lot of shells. As it's got 2 of them, that's 24 shots. Which is bloody brutal. Then onto the Ares Gunship. So 650 points for this, 19-inch move. Ooh, lumbering, power of the machine spirit, and it's got 2 centerline mounted Arachnus heavy blaze cannons, centerline mounted Arachnus Magna blaze cannon, 2 hull front mounted Infernus firebomb clusters, Eclipse shield and Array Shrike. So let's have a look at these firebomb clusters. So they've got the bomb special rule. Strength 6, AP4, massive blast, yay. But it's the Arachnus Magna blaze cannon, which is where it's at. That's the potential Titan killer right there, I'd say. Yeah, it's got an Exo Shock 4 Plus and Lance as well. So yeah, that's the really impressive gun. It's probably the strongest gun on their entire list, I believe. Yeah, awesome. So there we go. That's the whole army list all gone through, I think. So hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the army so far, and I'm looking forward to actually making more with them at this point, before I move on, I think, to my next project, which will be Blood Angels. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, please like and subscribe. Take care, guys. Bye.